Snarled traffic with major backups for several miles. That's a rarity here in the Coachella Valley, but with the new $300 million Acrisure Arena, where concerts, hockey, and other events will be taking place just off the 10 freeway near Palm Desert, concerns about traffic are on the minds of many Valley residents. You're looking there at construction underway right now as they are now putting the finishing touches on the arena.
Yeah, with the arena set to open in just a few weeks, what should drivers expect? And what is the arena doing to handle the thousands of cars expected to go in and out? Tonight, I took an in-depth look at traffic at the arena. And as I discovered, unlike most major venues where cars have to line up to pay for parking, which can create gridlock, the arena is turning to technology to constantly keep traffic moving. With only about a month to go before its first event, finishing touches are underway at the 11,000-seat Acrisure Arena, and that includes the parking lot, which can hold up to 3,000 cars. This rendering shows what the parking lot will look like once it's open to the public. But all those cars going to a single event just off the 10 freeway near Palm Desert has many Valley residents worried about traffic.
The early evening traffic is probably going to be hellacious trying to get home from work. I work in this area and I go back to Palm Springs, so probably it's going to be horrendous.
It's like a lot of traffic. You don't know what could happen during the whole traffic stops and stuff like that because, you know, there's a lot of crazy drivers out there.
So what is the arena doing to deal with traffic?
We have an excellent plan in place to make sure that you can get into and out of the arena without problem.
The arena's vice president of parking and mobility says that plan includes 4 driveways to get drivers in and out of the arena, all off Varner Road, which runs parallel to the freeway from Cook to Washington Street. The westernmost driveway would be dedicated to shuttles and ride shares, leading to this drop-off and pickup spot separate from the parking lot. The other 3 driveways would lead to the general parking area east of the arena, where several traffic control officers will be positioned. The arena expects about 2/3 of traffic will come via the Cook Street interchange, which is where the CHP is asking Caltrans and the county for an additional left turn lane from the eastbound 10 to Cook and 2 additional right turn lanes northbound from Cook. Right now, it's unclear when those recommendations will get approved. There will also be temporary lane reassignments to create turning lanes off Varner and temporary signal timing changes at the traffic lights adjacent to the arena. During events, the arena will have vehicles with cameras installed going up and down each aisle, checking every license plate to see if they paid for parking. The goal is to get cars in and out of here as quickly as possible.
They won't be stopped by anybody. They'll actually just be able to pull in, park, and then head inside to really start enjoying their event.
Anyone purchasing event tickets online will also be able to pay for parking ahead of time by clicking on this tab and typing in their license plate. The arena says those who do that will also get a parking discount. Anyone can still pay for parking at a kiosk when they arrive.
They'll never need to queue up on the street. They'll have significantly minimized the impact on the surrounding community of having cars kind of waiting and waiting to get into the arena footprint when you compare it to kind of traditional event parking.
The arena anticipates the 3,000 parking spots will be more than enough for about 80% of all events, but there is an arrangement with nearby Xavier College Prep to park more than 1,000 cars if needed, with shuttles running to and from the school on a private back road. Are you concerned at all that traffic is going to be an issue?
I'm always concerned about it. I'm not losing sleep about it, though, because of what we put in place, what our plans are, and the ability that we think we're going to be able to get people in and out of the arena pretty safely and efficiently.
Something else to keep in mind, the arena estimates just 16 to 20% of events will fill the arena to capacity, and those events will generally start at 7 p.m., which is after peak traffic hours.
Makes one think, how would it have worked if it had been built in downtown Palm Springs, which was the original plan? So 2/3 going in from the Cook Street interchange. How about going out from the arena?
Well, depending on the situation, they do have the option to divert traffic to the Washington Street exit, and that would unload the parking lot more quickly rather than congesting the Cook on-ramp directly onto the freeway.
Any special public transportation, or are people going to be walking there from the other side of the freeway?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Right now, John, there is no Sunline bus route that actually stops at the arena. The closest stop is in Bermuda Dunes near Washington and the 10. which is about 4 miles from the arena. And the arena says there are currently no plans to create another stop that is closer. And you mentioned pedestrians. As for pedestrians, the arena anticipates there will be a minimal amount of people walking, considering right now there's not a lot in the surrounding area. Now, if that does change in the future with more development, the arena says it will then look at possibly adding more walkways. And of course, we're going to stay on top of this story to see how the traffic situation plays out. The arena's first event will be comedians Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, December 14th.
Well, it's been fun to watch this project being built.
Yeah.
We sent up the drone to get some shots for this story, and we have been throughout the construction. You can go to KSQ.com right now and see some of the aerial comparisons of the arena from last year to this year, just growing right out of the desert floor there.